Hey guys, so today we're going to be solving systems of equations. Your learning target is I can solve systems of equations. So systems of equations are two or more equations with the same variable. I want you guys to go ahead and pause this video as you need to write these notes down on your worksheet. Graphically, which is what we're going to talk about today, the point X or Y where the two lines intersect would be our solution to the system. And algebraically, it's the point where x and y makes both equations true, but we'll look at that next week. So when our graph looks like this, when the two lines intersect, we're going to have one solution. When the two lines are parallel, we're going to have no solution, and this is the symbol we're going to use. And then when the two lines overlap, because they're the same line, then we're going to say we have infinite solutions, and we're going to use this infinity symbol. When we're solving systems by graphing, our steps, our step one, we're going to rewrite the equations in slope-intercept form. We're going to graph the line, and then we're going to identify the solution or solutions. All right, let's go ahead and look at two examples. Feel free to pause the video if you need to. All right, so with example one, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make this first example in blue, okay? So with example one, the first thing I want to do is I want to identify my y-intercept. Okay, so I want to identify the y-intercept. And my y-intercept is going to be -8. Now remember, if we have y equals mx plus b, and feel free to write this down, the b is the y-intercept. That's where the line hits the y-axis. And then the m is going to be the slope. All right, so the y-intercept is going to be -8. So on my graph, I'm going to go to my y-axis, and I'm going to go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So down here, this is going to be my y-intercept for the first line. And then my slope for the first line is actually going to be 1/1. And I know that because if there isn't a coefficient, then we know that there's an imaginary 1 in front of the x, and that's the same thing as 1/1. So my slope is 1/1. So that means from the y-intercept at -8, I want to go up 1 and to the right 1 and put another dot. And then I'm going to go up 1 to the right 1 and put another dot. Up 1 to the right 1 and put another dot. And then what I can do very carefully is I can take my ruler and I can draw a line between all of those dots, and that is how I will graph my line. All right, and then I'm going to do the same thing for the second equation. And I'm going to put the second equation in red just so it's easier to see. Okay, so this one will be in red. And for the second equation, remember my y-intercept is going to be 1. So this is the y-intercept, or the b. So that means I need to put a point at +1 on the y-axis. And then my slope is -2. Now that's the same thing as -2/1. So that means I need to go down 2 and to the right 1. So from my y-intercept, I'm going to go down 2 and then to the right 1 and put a dot there. And then I like to put a lot of dots so that it's easier to keep my line nice and straight. So I'm going to go down 2 to the right 1 because that's my slope, rise over run. I'm going to go down 2 to the right 1, and boom, right there I can see that I hit that blue line. Now that intersection, that's going to be the solution to my systems of equations. But I'm going to keep going. I'm going to go down 2 to the right 1 just so I can draw my line very clearly. Down 2 to the right 1. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to go up 2 to the left 1, up 2 to the left 1, up 2 to the left 1. And I'm going to put a line between all of those dots. So to find the solution, remember I want to graph, or my solution is going to be an x comma y, that's my coordinate. So I have to look at the x-axis, and I'll put this in yellow. So I'm going to look at the x-axis, and right here, that's where my lines intersect. So that's going to be 1, 2, 3. This is 3 on my x-axis. So my x value of my solution is going to be 3. And now I want to go ahead and look at my y-axis. So I'm going to go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Going to double check there. Yep. So this is -5 on my y-axis. So my solution to the system of equation is going to be 3, -5. All right, let's look at one more example just so that it can be really clear to you. We're going to go ahead and look at number 2. And again, I'm going to put the first equation in blue. And I want to first identify my y-intercept. And that's going to be +9. So I'm going to go up on my y-axis. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Right here. So this point right here is at 9. And that's my y-intercept. Okay. And then from my y-intercept, I want to go ahead and use my slope to find additional points on the line. So my slope is 1/2, so that means I need to go up 1 and to the right 2. So I'm going to go up 1 and to the right 2 and put a dot there. Now I can't go up anymore, so from my y-intercept, I'm going to do the opposite. I can also go down 1 and to the left 2. And we've talked about this before, so I'm going to go down 1 and to the left 2, down 1 and to the left 2, down 1 and to the left 2, down 1 to the left 2. And now I have lots of dots to go ahead and draw my line. So very carefully, I'm going to go ahead and draw my line through the dots. When you're graphing, it's really important that you make your line as straight as possible. All right, now let's go ahead and graph the second line. So here I have a y-intercept of 6. Okay, so that means I need to go to 6 on my y-axis. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So right here, this dot is going to be my y-intercept, which is at 6. And then from my y-intercept, I have a slope of -1. Remember, there's an imaginary 1 always in front of that x if you don't see a coefficient, which means the number in front of x. So that coefficient is going to be -1. And that's the same thing as -1 over 1. You can always put a whole number over 1 and it will still be a whole number. All right, so -1 is my slope, but that's the same thing as -1 over 1. So that means I need to go down 1 and to the right 1, down 1 and to the right 1, down 1 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 to the right 1. And then from my y-intercept, I can do the same thing in the opposite direction, only instead of going down and to the right, I'm going to go up and to the left. So I'm going to do the opposite. So I'm going to go up 1 to the left 1, up 1 to the left 1, up 1 to the left 1, up 1 to the left 1. And I can see my 2 dots that intersect. That's going to be where my solution is. So let me make this in yellow. So right here is where my 2 lines intersect. So to find my solution, remember my solution again is x comma y. So that means first I need to look at the x-axis, and that's going to be -1, -2. So I have my intersection at -2 on my x, and then on my y, I'm going to come up and say, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So my solution is going to be -2, 8. Alright guys, now I want you guys to go ahead and on number 3 and 4, I'm going to help you guys rewrite these equations in the slope-intercept form, and then I'm going to have you guys graph them, and then I'll give you guys an answer bank to check your answers. Alright, so for number 3, I have negative 3x plus y equals 8, and I'm trying to get the y to be first. So instead of negative 3x, I want to do the opposite. I'm going to add 3x to both sides. And when I do that, the negative 3 and the positive 3 will cancel. The y will come down. So I'll get y equals positive 3x plus 8. All right, and then for the second equation, I have negative x plus y equals negative 2. And that's the same thing as negative 1x. So I'm going to do the opposite again of subtraction. I'm going to add 1x to both sides. And I'll get y is equal to 1x minus 2. All right, so now you have your two equations in slope-intercept form. You just have to identify your y-intercept and then use your slope to graph. Remember, this is the same thing as 3 over 1, and this is the same thing as 1 over 1 when you're using your slope. All right, let's look at number 4. I'll rewrite that for you into slope-intercept form. It looks like the second equation is already written in slope-intercept form, so we just have to rewrite the first equation. I have x plus 2y is equal to 4. And I'm trying to get the y by itself. So this is a plus x, so I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to minus x on both sides. And then the 2y is going to come on down. So I have 2y is equal to negative x plus 4. And now I want to try to get the y by itself, so I'm going to divide both sides by 2. And my 2's here will cancel, and I'll get y is equal to negative 1/2 x plus 2. Remember, this is the same thing as negative 1. If you don't see a 1, there's an imaginary 1 there. So I have negative 1 being multiplied to the x, and then x is being divided by 2, so that's the same thing as just negative 1/2 x. And then 4 divided by 2 is equal to 2. Alright guys, so now all you have to do is graph it. I'm going to put an answer bank on the next screen for you. Alright guys, feel free to use this answer bank to help you as you're solving numbers 3 through 8. Make sure you put your name on the assignment and put your paper in the turn-in bin. Thank you so much guys. Have a good day.